IT News, January 25th, 2025. The recent developments surrounding TikTok have placed major technology companies in a challenging position, caught between adhering to federal law and responding to directives from President Donald Trump. Background: in April 2024, President Joe Biden signed the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act, mandating that ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese parent company, divest its U.S. operations by January 19, 2025, due to national security concerns. ByteDance did not comply by the deadline, leading to TikTok's removal from app stores and a suspension of its services in the U.S. President Trump's intervention. Upon assuming office on January 20th, 2025, President Trump issued an executive order delaying the enforcement of the TikTok ban by 75 days. He also assured tech companies like Apple, Google, and Oracle that they would not face penalties for continuing to support TikTok during this period. The dilemma for tech companies. This situation presents a complex challenge for tech companies. Legal compliance. The Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act remains in effect, and the Supreme Court has upheld its constitutionality. Noncompliance could result in significant legal repercussions. Executive directives. President Trump's executive order provides a temporary reprieve, but its legal standing may be contested, and it does not nullify the existing law. Companies must navigate this legal ambiguity carefully, balancing adherence to federal law with responsiveness to executive actions. Industry response. The tech industry's reaction has been mixed. Some companies have resumed support for TikTok following President Trump's order, while others remain cautious, awaiting further legal clarification. 1. TikTok dilemma: follow the law or President Trump? New York Times, January 24, 2025. For more than 6 years, Amazon Web Services, the world's largest cloud computing company, provided technical support to deliver TikTok videos to tens of millions of Americans. But over the weekend, Amazon faced a dilemma. A new law was taking effect banning TikTok, owned by the Chinese company ByteDance, in the United States. Tech companies were barred from distributing and updating it, or they would face financial penalties. At the same time, President-elect Donald J. Trump was telling tech companies he planned to pause enforcement of the law with an executive order. Just hours before the ban took effect, Amazon appeared to comply with the law, according to a New York Times review of the way TikTok's web traffic is handled. Instead, Akamai Technologies, a Massachusetts-based company that was already helping to deliver TikTok videos to phones, took over more of the technical support. Apple and Google also chose to follow the law. They swiftly removed TikTok and other apps owned by ByteDance from their app stores. But Oracle, another tech giant, was still processing and serving TikTok user data. Akamai and Fastly, which speed processing times for TikTok videos, were also still doing so. The schism highlights the dilemma the TikTok ban has forced on major American tech companies: risk alienating a mercurial president who made his support for TikTok an extremely public part of his inaugural policymaking, or risk breaking federal law and face up to billions of dollars in penalties. Several legal experts said it was unclear whether Mr. Trump's executive order shields companies from the law's monetary penalties or potential lawsuits. On one hand, you have this massive theoretical liability of up to $850 billion, and on the other side, you have the potential benefits of complying with Trump's wishes and being in his good graces, said Neil Surrey, an analyst at Capstone, a policy research firm. The tech companies made different assessment of that risk. Apple did not believe Mr. Trump's executive order would be enough to override their responsibility to follow the law. Google reached a similar decision. Oracle and others had been hesitant to violate the law under the Biden administration, a key reason the app stopped working for half a day over the weekend, when the ban took effect. But they believed that the promise of an executive order from Mr. Trump carried new power, prompting them to help the app restart operations in the United States, the People said. The different responses appear to be driven by money, politics, and fear. Apple and Google were under intense scrutiny in the weeks leading up to the TikTok ban. They control the software that powers millions of American smartphones. They also have a financial interest in the app, as they profit from TikTok's use of their in-app payment services. Last year, Apple made $354 million in fees from TikTok, while Google collected $63 million. That was mainly through digital coins on TikTok that users can purchase and gift to creators that they like, the firm said. But removing the app would be consistent with the positions Apple and Google had taken in the past around the world to follow the laws of the countries where they operate. And it was likely that TikTok could survive for several months without their support. Over the years, TikTok has shifted much of the operation of the app to servers, primarily run by Oracle, so that it relies less on smartphone software, said Ariel McKelly, the founder of AppFigures. He said that it also updated the app in the days before the ban, delivering the latest version at the last possible moment. Oracle and Akamai both told investors that they stand to lose significant sales and profits if they stop hosting and distributing TikTok content. They also play critical roles in making sure the TikTok app is operational. If they stop working with TikTok, the app wouldn't function and an outcry would follow. Much of the internet exploded on Saturday and Sunday when TikTok briefly went dark. Oracle also has a uniquely close relationship with Mr. Trump and with TikTok. Larry Ellison, the company's founder and chief technology officer, joined Mr. Trump for an announcement about a new $100 billion artificial intelligence initiative. At the event, Mr. Trump mentioned that Elon Musk or Oracle could buy TikTok and emphasized his right to make a deal. Oracle also works with TikTok to store sensitive U.S. user data and has been in talks with TikTok to help review the company's video recommendations in the United States as part of a broader security plan. Amazon's role was small but important. It had been hosting a critical piece of data called a domain name service record that directs hundreds of millions of web browsers and smartphone apps to TikTok servers. But the consequences of flouting the law, which was passed with wide bipartisan support in Congress and upheld unanimously by the Supreme Court, could be painful. Oracle and other companies could be opening themselves up to new liability by relying on the executive order, legal experts say. Mr. Trump could change his mind or selectively enforce the law against companies who fall from favor, and a future administration could later pursue financial penalties under the law's timeline, they say. Senator Tom Cotton, Republican of Arkansas and chairman of the Senate's Intelligence Committee, made calls to some major tech companies in the last week to say that they needed to comply with the law. He said on X that they could face hundreds of billions of dollars of ruinous liability under the law, not just from the federal government, but also if state attorneys general move to enforce it, or if shareholders sued over the decision to violate it. Senator John Thune, Republican of South Dakota and the majority leader, said this week that the law is the law and ultimately it's going to have to be followed. A group of TikTok users or social media companies like Meta or Snap could also bring lawsuits challenging the executive order. Users could argue that the U.S. government was inadequately protecting their data by failing to enforce the statute, Capstone analysts wrote, saying that was the likeliest type of lawsuit to emerge. Oracle is making the calculus that the probability they are held liable is quite minimal, Mr. Suri of Capstone said. Obviously, Apple and Google haven't made that calculus. That's a matter of them seeing the risk-reward differently. 2. Trump signs executive order to pause U.S. TikTok ban. President's order says temporary pause would give opportunity to determine appropriate course forward. Donald Trump has signed an executive order temporarily suspending the sale of the Chinese-owned social media platform TikTok, as mandated by a law passed in the U.S. last year. Trump's order was one of a raft signed by the new president on his first day back in the White House. The order instructed Trump's attorney general not to take any action to enforce the law mandating a sale or closure of the giant social media app in the U.S. for a period of 75 days. It said that pause would allow an opportunity to determine the appropriate course forward in an orderly way that protects national security while avoiding an abrupt shutdown of a communications platform used by millions of Americans. The order also directs the Justice Department to issue letters to other major social media and tech companies such as Apple, Alphabet's Google, and Oracle that work with TikTok, stating that there has been no violation of the statute and that there is no liability for any conduct that occurred during the above specified period. When a reporter asked what the TikTok executive order is aimed at doing, Trump said, "Just gave me the right to sell it or close it," adding that he had not yet made a decision on the right path forwards. Advocates of banning the video-sharing platform have long cited security concerns, given its ownership by ByteDance, a company controlled by the Chinese government, and the potential for personal information about millions of American users to be used for spying or propaganda purposes. Trump was critical of TikTok on such grounds in his first term in power and tried to ban it himself. He has since changed his position due to factors including his own popularity on the platform and use of it during last year's presidential campaign, and reported representations by Jeff Yass, a TikTok investor and Republican donor. Republicans in Congress did not change their position with Trump, however, and under a bipartisan law signed by Joe Biden last April, TikTok was mandated to sell its assets to a U.S.-based company by January 19 this year. Under the law, the deadline could be extended by 90 days if a sale is in process. ByteDance says it will not sell. One interested U.S. bid involves Frank McCourt, a billionaire who once owned the Los Angeles Dodgers baseball team, and Kevin O'Leary, an investor famous for appearing on Shark Tank, ABC's business reality show. The U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments on the matter earlier this month, after Trump asked for a stay. Justices appeared minded to let the law stand, despite representations from champions of free speech. Trump's petition to the court did not cite such concerns, his lawyers instead claiming, "President Trump alone possesses the consummate deal-making expertise, the electoral mandate, and the political will to negotiate a resolution to save the platform while addressing the national security concerns expressed by the government." Last week, Alan Rosenstein, a former national security advisor to the U.S. Department of Justice now at the University of Minnesota, told the Washington Post executive orders are not magical documents. They're just press releases with nicer stationery. TikTok will still be banned, and it will still be illegal for Apple and Google to do business with them. But it will make the president's intention not to enforce the law that much more official.